Hello, and welcome to my talk. Want to learn techniques for teaching even when you have nothing to teach? Now, I slightly renamed the talk because I have a history of creating very long names for my talk. So this year I went ahead and just renamed it. Want to learn? Teach. And this is the core message that I want to convey today. So who am I? I am Gabriel Chauri. I am a lead game designer at Organise. I'm also a content creator at Game Design Thinking. I'm also a professional musician, mostly in my room these days. And this guy on my right, by the way, I'm the guy on the left, is Sir Dunstan Castellante 24th, which hereby I declare the unofficial mascot of SEC 24. So at the end of this talk, you learn why teaching is important. You already will know why teaching is important for your development, but also for the development of other people. You will know how to organize your teaching material. I will give you reasons to find opportunities to teach and also places where you can teach your new learnings. And my hope also is that you are never again afraid of teaching. So to achieve this, first we will discuss why teaching is important. Then we will talk about silencing the silencer or dealing with fear of failure. Then we will talk about how to organize your material. If you already have decided to start teaching, how can you start organizing that material? Then finding places to teach. And finally, we will discuss what happens when you are already teaching. How can you keep improving? So first, why teaching is important? Why it is important to teach? So I would like to start with some questions. So first, do you believe you have nothing to teach? Like nothing at all? Like everything that you can't teach have already have been covered by someone else, or maybe you don't really feel comfortable teaching something. So do you believe you have nothing to teach? Are you afraid of teaching? Maybe you are afraid of putting yourself in that situation, and it's kind of a vulnerable situation, right? You are in front of a lot of people, giving a talk, running a workshop. So are you afraid of teaching? Finally, are you interested in teaching at all? Do you have an interest on sharing knowledge? And I think I would like for you to keep these three questions at hand. Try to think about them at the end of this talk, so you know where you are at the end of the talk, but also try to think about them like in a month from now when you are applying this knowledge, and try to answer those questions again. And I think that these three questions summarize why I think it is important to teach, because for me, teaching is sharing knowledge. If you are not teaching things that you know, you are hiding knowledge from people that really need that knowledge. Even if you think that they can get this information from someone else or on another side, or maybe someone else will step up and teach if you don't want to, if you don't feel comfortable. I think in that situation you will be hiding very important knowledge from people. So yeah, I will say sharing knowledge is one of the most important parts of being a human. So if you are hiding that knowledge, maybe we and you are losing from someone for something very important. So to exemplify this, I want to tell a personal story. So as I said, I was a musician. I'm a professional musician. I have a piece of paper that confirms that. I am here with my mom at my graduation ceremony. And the thing is that I was very good at music theory, and I would say like 90% of my schoolmates weren't that good. I guess when you are studying for being a performer, a music performer, you just want to play, you don't want to bother with theory and books and stuff like that. But I was the contrary. I was always with my eyes on the books instead of the piano or the guitar or whatever. I just really wanted to read and learn about music theory. This put me in a very interesting situation because basically my schoolmates asked me for questions because, for example, in the time during the class, they didn't have the opportunity or they don't want to just interrupt the class or whatever. So basically, I started to informally teach them about music theory, and they asked me questions, and most of the time I needed to go back to the books or to the internet and find for that information. And that allowed me to engage in deep learning. So how do I see deep learning? When you are, for example, studying something, when you are, I don't know, learning about a topic, you may have a question about a specific part of this topic. So you start to find for more information, you broaden your knowledge. Then you can get to a point in which you have too much information at hand. So you need to abstract this information, you need to collate some of this information, get back, try to find the core, the central part of this. And at the end, you will get an answer. You will get an answer for abstracted, summarized from all this information that you have analyzed. And the thing is that you don't only have these disconnected dots, but you start to literally connect the dots of information. You start to see which information is related, which is unrelated. So then when you have another question, you will get back to these dots, to these connections, and you will be able to find more information. So basically, it's not only the question and the answer that you have right now, but it's literally all the information in the middle and all the connections between them. So because my schoolmates were asking me questions, I engaged in deep learning. I get even better at music theory. Not to boast here, but I was like literally the highest grades on music theory. And that, of course, caught the eye of some teachers, and they recommended me for jobs. So I started to teach music theory at my university even before graduating. So yeah, I needed to get back to study, to read a lot. By the way, that's not one of my schoolmates. That's my dog. So yeah, I needed to study a lot, and maybe yeah, I know I'm flexing a bit here, but I can't say any combination of this key and this scale today, and I haven't used this information for 5 years maybe. But the fact that I learn so much about this, but more importantly, I teach this to several different classes for years, made me engage with this information way deeper than just only learning. So I needed to find ways to teach this in different ways, create activities. So again, I can say all these combinations, even if it's just useless information for me right now. So yeah, because I was teaching, I engaged in deep learning. I taught my schoolmates something that they needed. We were sharing knowledge. They were sharing answers, questions, and I was also trying to provide the best answers. So we were sharing knowledge. And as I said, this is fundamental, I think, for the human enterprise, for just improve as a society. Now, I hope you know why teaching is important, but maybe you are kind of afraid of teaching. So how can you silence the silencer? So let's analyze the fear of failure spectrum. So as I see, the fear of failure is a spectrum with two extremes. So extreme fear on one side and no fear on the other side. So when you are living in extreme fear, you are never ready, you are paralyzed, you are not doing what you are supposed to be doing. Now, if you move a bit towards the center, you may be able to do some things, but it will be difficult because you will be overcautious. You will slow down. You maybe are doing the things, but it's maybe too late. On the other hand, you have no fear at all. You say yes to everything, but you are not prepared. And that will have consequences. If you say that you can do something and you can't do it, well, that's not great. So if you move towards the center again, you may be unprepared, you may be doing something, but people will start to pick up on that. People will start to notice that you are unprepared, and they will let you know. So you want to move towards the center of this spectrum, towards the healthy fear of failure, in which you are prepared, you are timely to prepare your material to teach, to learn. And as I see it, again, this is a very big part of the spectrum, the center of the spectrum. So there's a big range in which you can do something. Now, how to move towards the center, how to move towards a healthy fear of failure. If you are in no fear, if you are saying yes, but you are not prepared, you need to be humble. You don't know everything. So you need to be humble and recognize that you don't know everything to move towards a healthy fear of failure and be more prepared and more timely. What happens if you are, on the other hand, if you are in extreme fear, you are never ready, you are paralyzed? Surprisingly, the answer is the same. You need to be humble. You are not supposed to know everything. If you think that people are expecting from you to know everything, you will never be ready. You will try to find perfection, and that's something that will kill your creative endeavor. So you need to be humble and recognize that you are not supposed to know everything. You need to be doing stuff, and that's the important part. So be humble if you want to move towards a healthy fear of failure. So when the opportunity comes, just eat your humble pie. If you need some more specific guidance, I will say go in small steps. Try to divide big tasks into smaller ones. Try to not go to a TED talk as your first talk. Try to do local talks and local game dev talks and stuff like that. Also think about the result of not doing this, of not giving that talk, of not running that workshop. Usually you will be on a worse place because, again, you are not sharing knowledge, you are not getting that feedback. And also listen to all people. I think that really talking with people that is more experienced than you is fundamental to improve. And a lot of time they say things like, I wish I wouldn't care that much about what people thought about me, because in the first they weren't even thinking about me in the first place. So yeah, try to listen to people with more experience than you. If you are still struggling, maybe it's time to find the help from a specialist. We at Sumo have the Help at Hand app. It's very good. There are a lot of psychologists that can help you dealing with fear of failure and help you with your organizational skills. So again, a personal story on how to deal with the fear of failure. So I always wanted to create an online course. I actually finished one on music theory, but I never published it because I was so afraid of getting bad reviews. But in 2020, I found myself in a very rocky situation. I was without a job. I was without a home to live. I was living on the house of a familiar, of a family member, and it was the mid of the pandemic, so it was a very hard moment. So I wanted to do something. Of course, I needed to do something. So I created an online course on game design. So I created game design thinking, actually. That is an online course, a YouTube channel, and also an Instagram account. Um, so this creating game design thinking allowed me to engage in deep learning. I learned a lot by creating game design thinking. I still learning a lot because you need to learn like 80% more than you are going to teach. You need to be fairly familiar with the topic if you want to be effective at teaching. You can, of course, reduce that percentage, but the more you know about a topic, the more effective you will be at teaching. So the thing is that because I was in this rocky situation, this rocky personal situation, I just rushed the online course because at some point, yeah, I needed the money, right? So what I did is that I created a course with the best intentions, but I basically put everything that I knew in kind of disorganized way. So yeah, I wasn't prepared. I was waiting for the best, but I wasn't prepared enough to create this course. So at the start, it was all good, but at some point when the course started to gain more traction, people started to pick up on this unpreparedness, on the disconnection between the topics, on the low quality of the recordings. So yeah, that took a hit on the reviews. And at some point, it was on 3.5, 3.6, so it's very low. So what I needed to do was to eat my humble pie and say, okay, I created the course and I wasn't prepared. So I need towards being more prepared, more timely. So what I did is I remake the course from scratch and I started to upload a complete section, a full section, and then ask for feedback from the students. So this moved the course from 3.8 in the reviews all the way to 4.6 in just 5 months. So again, I needed to eat my humble pie, recognize that I wasn't prepared the first time I did it. So now I was more prepared, more timely, but I needed first to recognize that to keep improving and to present a better experience for the students. So in both stories, when I was teaching music theory to my schoolmates and in game design thinking, I think there are 3 main points that is important to consider. I wasn't teaching anything new. I wasn't creating my own theories. I wasn't like revolutionizing the game design environment or the music theory field. But I was teaching something that was valuable for the people at the time when they needed. So my schoolmates needed to improve their grades and I was teaching them, so they really need it. And also in game design thinking, people really need more material about game design. So my hope is to provide that. Also, I think I was providing a mutual benefit at no one's expense. So no one is getting damaged for sharing this knowledge. This is knowledge that benefits the other people, but also benefits yourself. Because I think there's a 360 relationship here in which you get to teach people something that they don't know, but also you will get information, you will get feedback from people that know more than you. For example, when I was teaching music theory, my teachers also directed me, helped me in game design thinking, and I've had the opportunity to talk with game designers that I really admire, game designers that have 10, 20 years of experience. So that has been super useful for my career development. But also, I think the sharing of knowledge is fundamental because I really think that the quality of your ideas, as Patrick Winston put it, is the sum of your knowledge, your practice, and your talent. And the size really matters here in this graph because talent is nothing without practice, but also practice is nothing without knowledge. You can practice without knowledge, but it's not going to be as useful because you don't have direction, you don't have something to compare to. The same with talent. So really, you need knowledge first. You need to improve your knowledge to make your practice more effective and to put your talent to good use. So, okay, you know why teaching is important. You are dealing with the fear of failure, you are prepared, you are timely. Now, how to organize the material if you already decided to teach to increase and improve your knowledge? First, you need to define what you want to learn. Me. So, try to find something that you like. I will not say something that you are passionate about. So why? Why is something that you are not passionate about? Let me read to you some quotes about passion. I swear to you, my eternal love, a life is not enough for loving you. Okay, very passionate. These are feelings. Okay, that's odd, but bear with me. Passion for you. So very strong, very passionate. So you may think this is from Romeo and Juliet, or maybe this is from Cyrano de Bergerac. Well, this is actually some banners from football fans of a Chilean football team. So as you can see from the peaceful folks on the picture, passion puts you on the defensive. You won't go to that to those folks and say to them, "Hey, your team is like not the best, and I hate your team." It's like they are in the defensive. They are defending what they're passionate about. You don't want that when you're teaching because that will put you again on the defensive. You won't be able to act and receive feedback as effectively. So especially if you are starting, find something that you like, something that you are interested in. And of course, you need to find a balance between something that you want to learn, something that you can teach, so some previous experience, but also something that is solving a problem for others. Then, when you already define what you want to learn and what you want to teach, define the main questions. So these are the main questions of the topic that you want to explore. So start with why this is important, why this matters, and specifically, what's the problem you are solving with this. Then just start to explore a bunch of how-tos, how to do A, how to do B, how to do C. So for example, if you are talking about rigging a character, how to rig a leg, how to rig an arm, or if you are teaching about system design, how to analyze a system, how to create a system diagram, etc. So create a bunch of how-tos, and then the next step. So how can you keep improving when I'm not teaching you? And you may notice that this talk is structured like this. So why to teach was the first topic, then how to silence the silencer, how to organize material, how to find places to teach, and what are the next steps. So at this point, you are only talking about headings. You are not exploring, you are not writing a lot. It's just the headings of each of these as I presented them here. Then answer these main questions. But again, you are not still writing in depth. You are not editing yet. You are just writing a few bullet points, 1 or 2 short paragraphs at max. And if you don't know an answer, just search for more info. And again, put this answer on bullet points and 1 or 2 short paragraphs. Then start to write. So here is when you will start to write the script, the blog, the talk, whatever you are doing. So start to write and then edit that and edit again. So it's a lot of editing more than just pure writing. And a very good guide that I recommend is Jordan Peterson's essay writing guide. I think it's freely available on his website. It's very good, very useful if you want to write blogs, if you want to write an article. So in general, it's very good to apply to any kind of teaching that you're doing. And finally, practice your material. So This is very important, of course, and whatever the medium, you need to read what you are going to teach. You need to talk about this with other people. Maybe, for example, in my case, I usually talk about this with my wife. So sometimes when you are talking, you are basically debugging. You are finding these pieces, and also people can give you very good feedback, even people that don't necessarily work on your field. And finally, recite your material aloud. Recite it. So when you recite, even if you are writing something like a blog post or something that is written, reciting it will allow you to find some weird spots on your writing that may not be immediately identifiable by just reading. So define what you want to learn, define the main questions, answer these main questions in a few bullet points, then write and edit and edit and edit and edit, and then practice your material. And you may need to go back to some of these points, but that's, of course, totally fine. It's an iterative process like basically everything. So where can you teach? So how to find places to teach? So I have listed 5 places. I listed them from the most easier one to the least less difficult one, all the way to the more, I would say, the more challenging one. So first, discipline meetings. So for example, the meetings with your design team. These are very good because usually a small group, you will get a lot of good feedback from people that know more than you, people that know less than you. So that's a very good place to start. Then writing a blog post. This is very good to engage deeply with the material, but not very good to receive a lot of feedback. YouTube is kind of similar. It will require some editing skills, but it's very good to get feedback if you are getting enough views. Creating a course. This is very time consuming, but it's very good to analyze a topic very, very in depth and try to really expand your knowledge about the topic. And finally, giving a talk, because giving a talk requires some live performance element that you need to work in separate, and also because it's, even if you are just talking to a webcam, it could be very nerve-wracking, as I can say right now. So yeah, giving a talk has this performative element, so you should be aware of that if you want to give a talk. Again, start small. Don't go to a TED Talk as your first talk. So what's next? What are the next steps? You are already teaching. How can you improve? How can you move forward? Well, one thing is that the knowledge cycle, as it may seem from what I have talked about today, could look like this. So you learn, then you teach, and then you learn again. Excuse me. But there's something missing here. There's some element missing, because first you learn, then you teach, and then you interact with the people that you are teaching. You interact with your students. You interact with them to get feedback, to get to know what is working for them, what is not working for them. This is fundamental for keep improving as a teacher and keep improving your knowledge and keep improving also the practice of that knowledge. And I think that here is where a lot of teachers, especially university teachers, have their weakness, because they don't interact with the students. They think that just learning and teaching is enough, but they don't interact with students to know how they can improve their teaching, and in turn this will improve their knowledge, the way that they learn. So because again, I try to practice what I preach, there's a feedback form at the end, so you can give me feedback on this talk and what are the most useful points for you and how can I improve moving forward. So as a summary, when you are teaching something, you engage in deep learning. You get to know a lot more knowledge that you had before, and you see connections that you didn't see before. Also, you will humble yourself. It's very easy to just start learning and think that you know everything, but when you start teaching, you will really get to humble yourself and recognize that there's a lot more under the sun. And finally, you generate a 360 benefit. You generate a benefit for people that know less than you, but you also generate a benefit for people that know more than you, because they will also teach you, and in turn they will increase their knowledge and get to teach better, and so etc etc. So there's really a benefit all around you when you are teaching something. Another way to put it is that you will acquire more knowledge. You will have chances to practice based on that acquired knowledge. And of course, because you are practicing, you will be able to put your talents to good use. So if after all of this, if after learning why teaching is important for you, for your development, but also for all other people, and sharing knowledge is fundamental, after learning about the fear of failure spectrum and how to live on a healthy fear of failure, how to organize your material, right? Defining the questions, answering them, writing, and also where can you teach, finding places to teach and to put this, to share this knowledge. If after all of this, if after checking especially the knowledge cycle of learning, teaching, and interacting, you are still in doubt and you still don't want to teach and don't want to share your precious knowledge, I have just one thing to say to you. You want to learn? Then teach. This is Gabriel Chauri. You can find me at Game Design Thinking. Sir Dunstan Castellan is not in social media, bless him. And there's a link to the feedback form if you want to give me feedback on this presentation. So now to the Q&A session.
On mute. On mute. Fantastic. That was such a great talk, Gabriel. Thank you so much, not only for taking the time to write the talk, but also to record it and to be here with us today. Before we go over to Q&A, I just wanted to just sort of give you an opportunity to say any final thoughts that you have at all.
Sorry, yeah, muted too. Yeah, well, thank you very much for attending the talk. I hope you like it. I hope you can get something valuable from it. I just want to reiterate on the main questions about if you really feel now at the end of the talk, if you really feel that you have nothing to teach, if you are not interested in teaching at all, I think it would be great to hear from you, to hear your thoughts about that, because part of this talk comes from, yeah, my past as someone that I had the insecurity of not knowing, of not thinking that I had something to teach, because I wanted to kind of revolutionize the the industry or whatever. But as I mentioned there, you don't need to do necessarily something new. You don't need to go like to a TED talk first. You can go into small steps and just work from what you know and what you are interested in. So I would love to hear your thoughts and continue that conversation.
Fantastic. And whereabouts can we continue that conversation? Is it Teams, email? What's best for you, Gabriel?
Well, you can find me in Teams. I think it's a pretty straightforward way we have to for communicating. I can also uh, usually answer on game design thinking, so you can find me there on YouTube, Instagram. So yeah, you can message me there also if you're watching this on another platform.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We've not had any questions come through as of yet. However, I think it would be good just to sort of give it another minute or so, just in case people are typing. If not, obviously, as you said, you're available on other platforms, but also Teams to continue the conversation and just to keep things going, really, because it's really insightful. Really, really insightful. And remember to interact after you've done your teaching as well. Fabulous. I'll just give it
Yeah,
another few seconds.
yeah, no worries.
And then if not, we'll get ready to wrap up. Fab. So we've not had anything come through. So as I said, continue the conversation offline. But once again, thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. And Gabriel, thank you so much for taking the time to write and be here with us today. So au revoir. Have a lovely afternoon or a lovely morning if you are in Canada. And all the best to you all. Take care. Bye.
Best to you. Bye. Thank you.